You might notice it first in the way a room feels just before the light is turned on. It is a brief, microscopic glitch in your perception, a sense that the space around you isn't merely empty, but waiting. We tend to dismiss these moments as artifacts of a tired mind or the overactive imagination of a species that spent too many millennia shivering in the dark. We tell ourselves that we have outgrown the shadows. We have mapped the globe, sequenced the genome, and split the atom. We believe we are the authors of our own narrative, standing at the pinnacle of a rational world. But there is a quiet, persistent dissonance that suggests otherwise. It is the realization that no matter how far we travel or how much we learn, we keep telling the same stories. We see the same monsters in our sleep. We seek the same redemptive arcs in our tragedies. This consistency is often attributed to culture or the shared human experience, but that explanation is becoming increasingly fragile. It assumes that mythology is something we created. It assumes that the stories came after the people. But if you look closely at the architecture of the human brain, at the ancient reptilian structures buried beneath the modern neocortex, a different possibility begins to take shape. It suggests that the myths were not invented by us. They were inherited. They are a biological imperative, a set of pre-installed instructions written in a language that predates speech. We are not the storytellers. We are the medium through which the story is being told. Think about the dragon. It appears in the folklore of almost every culture on Earth, from the high plateaus of the Andes to the remote islands of the Pacific. These civilizations had no contact, no shared language, and no common fossil record to explain the sudden, spontaneous appearance of a winged, fire-breathing serpent. Yet the dragon remains constant. It is a composite of our most primal fears. It has the scales of a snake, the talons of a raptor, and the teeth of a big cat. It is a masterclass in evolutionary terror. Our ancestors did not need to see a dragon to know what it was. The dragon was already there, etched into the neural pathways of the limbic system. It was the visual representation of a predator detection algorithm that had been refined over millions of years of survival. To a primate in the canopy, the rustle of a snake or the shadow of an eagle was not just an observation. It was a high-priority interrupt in the biological source code. When we began to speak, we didn't invent the dragon. We simply gave a name to a circuit that was already firing. We turned a survival instinct into a deity. This suggests that the universal themes of mythology are not metaphors for the world outside. They are diagnostics for the world inside. The hero's journey is not a creative trope. It is a metabolic map. It represents the physiological process of moving from a state of known safety into a state of high-entropy chaos. The threshold guardian, the mentor, the descent into the underworld. These are not characters. They are neurological checkpoints. When you feel that surge of adrenaline when facing a challenge, or that profound sense of clarity after a period of suffering, you are not experiencing a literary epiphany. You are executing a subroutine that was perfected before the first stone tool was ever napped. We call it fate or destiny, because the feeling of being guided by an external force is more comforting than the reality. The reality is that your nervous system is running a script that you did not write and that you cannot edit. Consider the recurring image of the world tree. It is the axis mundi, the pillar that connects the heavens, the earth, and the abyss. We see it in the Norse Yggdrasil, the Mayan Wakachan, and the Buddhist Bodhi tree. On the surface, it seems like a poetic observation of nature. But if you look at a map of the human nervous system, the resemblance is haunting. The brain as the canopy, the spinal cord as the trunk, and the sprawling network of peripheral nerves as the roots. We did not project ourselves onto the tree. We recognized the tree as a reflection of our own internal geometry. We are biological fractals, repeating the patterns of the systems that built us. Our mythology is simply the user interface we develop to interact with our own complex, terrifying biological hardware. As you sit here now, breathing and listening, there are millions of these ancient processes running in the background. Your heart beats, your lungs expand, and your brain filters a staggering amount of sensory data to present you with a coherent version of reality. But this coherence is a thin veneer. Beneath it, the old gods are still awake. They are the chemical signals that dictate your moods, the hormonal surges that drive your desires, and the synaptic pruning that shapes your memories. We like to think of our thoughts as original, as the product of a unique consciousness. But how many of your thoughts are actually yours? How much of your personality is just the result of a genetic sequence reacting to its environment in the exact way it was programmed to? There is a moment in certain ancient texts where the protagonist realizes that the world they inhabit is an illusion, a dream being dreamt by a higher power. It is a common theme, one that we usually dismiss as early philosophical speculation. But perhaps they were onto something more literal. If our myths are biological and our biology is the result of 4 billion years of iterative code, then we are living inside a recursive loop. The realization that begins to emerge is that we are not the protagonists of this story at all. We are the hardware. We are the carbon-based processors designed to keep the code alive. The self is just a feedback loop, a necessary byproduct of a system that needs to believe it is in control in order to function efficiently. The unsettling truth is that the hero, the villain, and the quest are all just manifestations of a molecular drive to replicate and endure. The story doesn't serve us. We serve the story. The monsters we fear are not hidden in the woods or at the bottom of the ocean. They are tucked away in the folds of the temporal lobe. They are the shadows of predators that died out 1,000,000 years ago, still haunting the hallways of our minds because the code hasn't been updated yet. We are walking museums of ancient fears and archaic triumphs. Every time you feel an irrational dread in a dark hallway, or an unexplainable sense of awe at a sunrise, you are witnessing the ghost of an ancestor reacting to a world that no longer exists. We are optimized for a reality that has passed us by, guided by a mythology that is more interested in our survival than our happiness. We try to pave over these instincts with logic and technology. We build cities of glass and steel. We create digital worlds where we can be whoever we want. But the code is patient. It waits for the power to go out. It waits for the moment of crisis when the rational mind falters. And in that silence, the old stories return. They return because they are the only things that truly know us. They are the blueprints of our behavior, the hidden hands that move us across the board. We are like actors who have been on stage for so long that we have forgotten there was ever a script. We think we are ad-libbing, but every word we speak was rehearsed in the long, dark silence of the prehistoric past. It is a strange thought, isn't it? To realize that your most intimate feelings, your deepest convictions, and even your sense of identity might just be the echoes of a biological program. It makes the world feel slightly different. The walls of your room, the sound of your own breath, the weight of your body in your chair. Everything feels a little more mechanical, a little less certain. You are a vessel for an ancient, wordless wisdom that doesn't care about your name or your dreams. It only cares that the cycle continues. It only cares that the code is passed on. As you go about your day, you will likely forget this. The sun will rise. The tasks of your life will demand your attention, and the feeling of being a cog in a vast, biological machine will fade into the background. You will feel like yourself again. You will feel like the master of your own house. But every now and then, you will catch a glimpse of the script in the corner of your eye. You will feel a pull that you cannot explain, or a fear that has no name. And in that moment, you might remember that the story you are living is not your own. You are just a single sentence in a book that has been being written since the first cell divided in the primordial sea. Take a breath. Feel the air enter your lungs. Notice how your body knows exactly what to do without you ever having to tell it. It is a perfect silent system. It is elegant, efficient, and entirely indifferent to your permission. You are the passenger in a vehicle that has been driving itself for eons. And as you settle back into the comfort of your daily life, one question might remain, persistent and quiet, like a heartbeat in a silent room. If you are not the one writing the story of your life, then who is actually reading it?